There are always winners and losers in the media world. This year was no different, except we found a very distinct theme: sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, sexism, and the battle of the sexes. The hammer fell on Rolling Stone magazine this year for its now infamous story about a vicious gang rape at the University of Virginia that turned out to be false.
I don't recall any injuries at all.
This year, a judge awarded $7 million to a dean who was libeled. Fighting sexism, Kelly Ripa, who told the bosses like it is when she wasn't told co-host Michael Strahan was leaving the show.
And most importantly, respect in the workplace.
Respect is what made Jane Pauley a winner. At age 66, she landed a sweet job as anchor of CBS Sunday Morning.
Since 1979, I'm only the third, host.
And the only one not named Charles. Meanwhile, there was collateral damage in the swirl of Donald Trump's boorish bragging. Billy Bush was fired for egging Trump on during this 10-year-old interview for Access Hollywood.
How about a little hug for Donald? He just got off the bus.
Thrown off the bus, ESPN commentator and former Red Sox pitcher Curt Schilling for making fun of transgender rights.
He called this latest brouhaha beyond hilarious.
But his sense of humor didn't appeal to the bosses at ESPN, who promptly showed him the door. But if there's a prize for winners and losers in a sexually hostile atmosphere, the Fox News Channel takes first in both categories.
$20 million for former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson.
The network settled after an internal investigation into sexual harassment by chief exec Roger Ailes. Make that former chief executive.
That is just a seismic event.
After 20 years at the helm, Ailes was out, winning the Fox Wars. Megyn Kelly, whose tumultuous relationship with Ailes and President-elect Donald Trump had her in the headlines for more than a year.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs.
Now she's the most sought-after commodity on TV with a best-selling book, Settle for More, which, no doubt, she will. I know. Well, I'm waiting for the second installment of Fox News from Gabe Sherman, the writer who's been doing all of this great work about Fox, because, as Rachel Maddow said, this really was just a seismic shift, to throw Ailes out, to essentially make Megyn Kelly the biggest star of the network, rising well above Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, who's really held those spots for the 2 decades.
Bill would disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, she's the biggest name there now.
Yeah.
I mean, he still tops her in the ratings. That's true. But I mean, come on, she's mesmerizing. I've said this many times. Adam and I agree. It's like you turn on, you can't stop watching her. But that was the biggest story to me in all the winners and losers.
She really is. And I'd say that of the people who were mentioned there, we didn't talk about Gawker. Certainly, Gawker was a big loser. Oh, that's coming up. Yeah. Okay. Roger Ailes, I think, in some ways, was the biggest loser of the year, because here's this behemoth that he built, really from his own imagination, and it's just dominated the conservative media landscape for years, and he's out.
Yeah,
and he does not seem to have landed a job with Donald Trump.
But
either.
he's out with a ton of money,
million.
right? And he's out with
back.
the election of someone who I think would not have been elected if Fox had not done all the work it did over the past couple of decades.
Exactly.
So he lost, but he also won. You don't think so?
I don't think this is the kind of guy that Fox News wanted to elect. I think they wanted a more traditional Republican. I think that's their background.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters, because Roger Ailes is in the catbird seat right now, and I think he's coming back. I said that from the beginning. I don't know how he's coming back, but I think he's coming back. I'm just waiting to see what
Anybody else in that list stand out?
I mean, when it comes to gender, this is maybe a little off topic, but one of the people I wanted to praise or say, kind of was a winner of the year was Kellyanne Conway. Kelly, you mentioned her earlier.
Yes.
She, first of all, from a professional level, I give her a lot of credit for going on MSNBC a lot, for putting herself in that firing line and being very respectful and reasoned and calm and articulating something for her boss. I mean, doing her job quite well. Also, she has been handling the last couple of weeks where she just got a big White House job.
Right.
She got the question that men are never asked about how you're going to do this job with your kids, with your 4 kids. She had the most beautiful
I put her
answer.
in a political category as opposed to a media category, even though she was really out there as the face of it.
She was the media surrogate.
Yeah.
Like
Even
the
though
#1.
you just gave the signal to stop talking about Kellyanne Conway, I got to ask, didn't she introduce that question about
Yes,
whether
she
she
did.
wants to have the job in the White House raising her kids? I didn't think that was thrust on her. I thought she took the conversation.
She's also criticized other women.
Let me just say this one political statement about it. daggone it, she should have gotten that job. She
Yeah, really.
worked her
Yep, she
fanny
did.
off. I have fundamentally disagreed with her about many things, but I was in the room with her at the campaign managers. Give the woman the check. She's representing.
Okay, one of my favorite
You know?
stories of the winners and losers was definitely Kelly Ripa. I mean, she handled that so well. I mean, that was a bad thing.
Yes.
They dismissed her, summarily dismissed her about whether she should know whether her co-host was moving on, to be a big star at the Today Show or whatever. And she said, no. You're not going to treat me like that.
And she handled it with good
Yes,
humor.
she
I
did,
mean,
which
the grace
I
and the
thought.
humor when she had that comeback
Yes.
show, and she was a little self-deprecating, but
Yeah.
she also
Oh, it
managed
was
to
great.
tweak her bosses. It was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the show is Kelly. That's supposed to be. She's the lead person there. I mean, it's
Who's the
supposed
co-host
to,
now? I don't even
no,
know.
she's having a series
Oh.
of people go through, and some people speculate that's because there's something with Michael Strahan's contract that doesn't allow her to pick somebody for a while. But I don't know. But she's even more in control now. It's always been based on she works so hard to make sure whomever's sitting in the other chair has the chemistry. She should have been given that respect. That's what I mean about the Kellyanne Conway thing. Daggone it, she shouldn't have. She was supposed to have that. It's ridiculous.
Probably worth mentioning, I had not known this until today, but apparently Diane Rehm is hanging in. She has broadcast her last show.
I should have given her a nudge.
I wasn't aware of it until I read about it on
just read it
Twitter.
in our Quick News today,
Yeah.
or whatever our in-house newsletter is. I didn't know that, but I knew Diane in Washington, D.C. She was doing the show when I was working for the college radio station. So,
Really?
yeah.
37 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
incredible.
Yeah.
It was announced quite a few months ago that she would be stepping down, but I wasn't aware that it was her last show until I saw it on Twitter today, I think.
All right.
Yeah. So
Anybody want to predict if Kurt Schilling will be back?
yes,
So he
Kurt
was
Schilling-
running for office.
he's coming back.
Kurt Schilling belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'll still give him that, but that's about
Well, he
it.
doesn't qualify for that yet, does he?
Yeah, he's close.
Yeah.
He's close.
One thing that drove me crazy about the Schilling episode is anytime you see a employer sanction an employee by suspending them, firing them, you get the inevitable cries of, well, what about the First Amendment? What about the right of free speech? People's failure to understand that when you are a public figure, you do not have the right to say whatever you want and not have your employer sever ties with you never ceases to amaze and madden me.
Right,
I mean, it's such a basic point.
Doesn't have to put everything on its airwaves.
Exactly.
That's ESPN's choice.
Yeah, he can stand on the sidewalk and say whatever he wants to about transgender people, but he's not guaranteed a job with ESPN.
Well, every
He
media
doesn't.
outlet gets that criticism.
It's
anytime
amazing, isn't
anything's
it?
not run or anyone's criticized, you always get that. It's a double
Well, there was a
standard
lot
with
of
every speech.
crackdown on that kind of stuff this year about suspensions for tweeting and all that kind of stuff, as we've discussed. So
Appropriate. I
you're right.
think.
Appropriately, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.